everyone. It's so great to be here. My name is Connor Schoen, and like Mr. Anderson said, I'm class of 2017 for Westboro High School. Feels like a decade ago already, but only 4 years ago. I am currently the co-founder and executive director of a nonprofit called Break Time. We're a Boston-based nonprofit working to end young adult homelessness. I started Break Time in 2018 when I was a student at Harvard after graduating from Westboro. And our goal is really to empower young adults experiencing homelessness, many of whom are experiencing challenges with mental health, to build sustainability in their lives while building resilience in their communities. So we work to recruit young people from other organizations, provide 2 weeks of training, and then place them for 3 to 6 months of purposeful transitional employment, learning to see their own power and potential through purposeful work in the community. So for me, what I do now at Break Time and sort of everything that has made me who I am today and defines my mental health today came through my experiences of coming up through the Westboro system and really learning to grapple with my mental health, primarily when I was a junior and senior in high school. When I was in high school, I knew that I was facing challenges. I didn't know what to call them at the time. I didn't have the words or the diagnosis to explain what these anxieties, what these challenges really were. I now refer to my mental illness as a mixture of anxiety and depression, but those words meant nothing to me. Depression was just a synonym for sadness that was maybe a little bit more severe, and anxiety just meant craziness. I didn't really understand what those clinical terms meant, and it made it hard for me as someone who's kind of more quantitative and likes labels for things to be able to understand really and name what I was experiencing. Moreover, after I graduated from Westboro High School, I actually came out in 2018, and it was a very challenging experience for me. I did it inspired by actually the young adults I worked with at a shelter called Y to Y, because 40% of young adults experiencing homelessness actually identify as LGBTQ+. And these amazing young people, these resilient young people, are homeless actually because they've been kicked out of their homes because of the way they identify. This is a crisis that is happening all across the world. And it is not, and that includes Boston, that includes Westboro, that includes everywhere. And so working with so many incredible young people who, despite everything, were so proud and authentic about their identities, really inspired me to embrace my own identity. But I couldn't really do that until I had the language. Again, that's just sort of, I think, part of who I am and what I prefer. But I didn't even know what the term bisexual meant, pansexual. I didn't know outside of gay and lesbian what other terms existed to describe members of the LGBTQ plus community. So learning those terms when I was a freshman in high school at Harvard and exposed to a lot more folks in the queer community was really transformational for me. So I think overall, what I learned from that whole experience is that if we start having conversations earlier on about mental illness, about sexuality, about gender identity, for a lot of young people, that will allow them to sort of classify experiences they're having and better understand exactly what they need. For me, I just didn't have those words at my disposal. I think another thing that was really powerful for me was when I was a senior in high school, I ran on the track team, and one of the assistant track coaches, Ms. Camille Glenn, who works at the school, pulled me aside to do performance-based coaching. So I was originally told that it was basically like a sports psychology experiment, which if you knew me at the time was a great way to get me to start therapy. I didn't know it was therapy. I didn't even call it therapy at the time. But Ms. Camille Glenn sort of stealthily, along with Mr. Anderson and Coach Newt, kind of stealthily got me to start really opening up and sharing my experiences. And we didn't talk about sports at all. Ms. Camille Glenn and I sort of spent 6 months really building a deep relationship and understanding of things that I didn't talk to anyone about. And that was life-changing for me. I still, to this day, am involved in therapy, and it's been really impactful and important. I'd also say when I got to college, one of the things that I didn't know about in high school that I wish I knew more about was different medications that can help to address depression, anxiety, and other mental illnesses. I started experimenting with my psychiatrist with different medications that I could take when I was a freshman in college. And I think up until that point, I just had no knowledge of what was out there. And there was such a stigma that that was like only for people who have this like severe limiting mental illness. But what I really learned is that certain medications can help to take the edge off and empower you to take control of your mental health and be more effective in using the practices that you learn through therapy and through sort of counseling and other things you engage in. So I would say those three things overall were really important to me. One was knowing the terms to use to name what I was feeling. It's something I didn't get through high school, and that's why I think it's really important that Westboro High School and other high schools across the United States really engage in those conversations, and they start at home. So I definitely encourage people to use those terms and not make them feel like this taboo, stigmatized thing, both for sexuality and mental illness. Secondly, therapy was really important for me, having someone to talk to about what I was experiencing. And thirdly, I think really the experience of knowing, of going through sort of what I call experimentation phase with medicine and understanding that it's okay to need that sort of help. And it's just a biochemical support system. That was really empowering for me. And I wish that I was able to sort of incorporate that earlier on. Overall, I think if I have one message to share with folks who are experiencing mental illness right now, I would say that it's really important that when you feel like you can't, do something for yourself, if you feel like you can't take a break just because you deserve that break, or you feel like, this is something I struggle with a lot. I felt like, I don't deserve to take a day off to feel better. I like have to keep doing this. One of the things that helped me is don't think about doing it for yourself if that's not working. Think about it doing it for other people. Like ultimately, me really managing my mental health has enabled me to start an organization to support other young adults in their journeys and building sustainability in their lives and escaping homelessness. I would not be able to do that if it weren't for the amazing people who've supported me at Westboro High School and also at Harvard. And I think it's important to recognize that if you're feeling like you don't feel like you deserve the support, or you don't feel like you deserve that time for yourself, just remember that you doing those things and investing in yourself is having a positive impact in the lives of others as well. So that's been really important to me. I really appreciate you giving me the time to share more about my experience. And I'm really excited that this is a conversation that we're having now in the Westboro community. So thank you so much again for having me tonight, and really looking forward to answering more questions later in the program.